Today's interview is with Dr. Monali Desai, a quadruple board-certified cardiologist. Through the website she founded, ifwewerefamily.com, she helps people learn how they can lose weight and prevent heart diseases with science-backed information. We asked Dr. Monali, "What's your favorite book and why, business and non-business?" To which she replied, "Currently, my favorite business book is The Charisma Myth by Olivia Fox-Cabane, because I feel it has so many small but impactful takeaways about improving how you communicate with others. I try to reread it once a year. My favorite non-business book is The Happiness Advantage, because it reminds me of the importance of surrounding myself with positive people." We asked Monali, "Was there a moment specifically when something you read in a book helped you? Can you tell us about it?" She replied, "Many years ago, I was trying to figure out how to invest my Roth IRA or retirement account. I went to Barnes & Noble and happened to read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and my major takeaway was that I needed to start reading 1 hour a week about personal finance and investing. After I started medical school, I had stopped reading about everything outside of medicine. But after I read that book, I read a lot of books about personal finance and investing and learned how to manage my own finances and investments." We asked Monali what books had the biggest impact on you, and she told us, Rich Dad Poor Dad, as I mentioned above. Also, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People and How to Win Friends and Influence People had a big impact on how I interact with people at work and in my personal life. We asked Monali about the books she would recommend to youngsters interested in her professional path, and she responded, "I get most of my information about nutrition from medical studies. I haven't read any books about nutrition that I agree with 100%. These are a few nutrition-related books that I've read recently that I thought were interesting. Eat to Live by Joel Fuhrman, Why We Get Fat by Gary Taubes, and The 4-Hour Body by Tim Ferriss." We told Monali, "We're interested in finding out more about your reading habits. How often do you read and in what format?" She replied, "I usually read for 10 to 30 minutes most days. I read one book every 1 or 2 weeks. I prefer audiobooks. I like to change the speed depending on the complexity of what I'm listening to. I don't take notes, but I keep a spreadsheet with one takeaway I want to implement from each book I listen to, and if I think I should listen to it again in the future." We asked Monali, "As a doctor, you have an extremely tight schedule. How do you make time for reading?" She replied, "I put it on my calendar to read for 30 minutes before I go to sleep. I don't always have 30 minutes, so even if I have 10 minutes, I'll do that. I travel a fair amount, so I listen to books when I'm on the plane or subway too. I also always have a few audiobooks downloaded on my phone so that I can listen to something anytime I unexpectedly have some free time." We asked Monali what books she is currently reading and what she is expecting to gain from it. She replied, "I'm currently listening to Shoe Dog and I Can't Make This Up. I started listening to Shoe Dog because several friends recommended it to me. So far, I've gotten out of it that starting Nike was much more complicated than I thought it was. I'm listening to I Can't Make This Up because I think Kevin Hart is a really funny comedian." We also asked Monali, "There's an abundance of contradictory advice related to nutrition and health overall, even from seemingly trustworthy sources. What are the 3 basic principles for healthy eating habits that anyone should follow, assuming that they don't have any medical condition?" To this question, Dr. Monali replied, "Start with one small change to eat healthier that you can maintain instead of making drastic changes that you'll find difficult to maintain on the long term. Try cutting back on eating sugar earlier in the day, you'll crave it less later in the day. Try switching high glycemic index foods to low glycemic index foods. For example, switching from white bread to wheat bread. This will help keep your blood sugar levels more stable." Our last question for Dr. Monali was, "What common myths related to health eating do you encounter on a day-to-day basis?" She replied that eating healthy is all or nothing. There is a whole spectrum from eating chocolate cake every day to being vegan, probably the healthiest diet for your heart. Even if you do one more thing to eat healthier today than you did yesterday, you'll be helping yourself on the long term. Another more recent trend that I've seen is that people seem to think that every meal they eat should be fun or provide some sort of emotional support. You should try thinking of the purpose of food 80% of the time as being for fuel, nutrition, and energy, and 20% of the time for enjoyment or emotional support. This was our interview with Dr. Monali Desai. If you want to find out more about her and her projects, visit her website, ifwewerefamily.com. You can also find all the books and links mentioned in this interview in the video description. Thank you!